out there in YouTube land, BitChute land, wherever you may be watching from. Anarcho Highlander here with another installment of my daily or weekly verbal journal here. I'm just going to share my thoughts. I started to do this on Friday. Today's Sunday, but I got interrupted by a phone call in the middle of my recording from my wife, and so my video got split into two pieces because of that, and it would probably be easier for me to just make a whole new video rather than splice the two that I made on Friday together. So that's what I'm going to do. Got a couple topics I want to talk on, just to keep the journal up to date as to where I am this week. It's Sunday, and I have some things to report from on Friday, because some things happened on Friday, and then some more things happened over the weekend. I've had some thoughts in my mind. So one of the things was on Friday, I went to get lunch at the local food truck where my office was just moved to in New Jersey. It's a great food truck. Been there quite a few times even before my company moved into this town where the food truck is, but I've been going there more now, that right down the road from it, probably like once or twice a week now. And they got all kinds of good food. They've got Italian hot dogs, hot dogs all the way. They've got cheesesteaks. They've got sub sandwiches. They've got excellent breakfast sandwiches. Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. Outstanding. Probably the best Taylor ham, egg, and cheese I've been getting lately in the New Jersey area. Really don't get Taylor ham, egg, and cheese in any other areas, I don't think. But anyway, outstanding. Lots of good stuff on this food truck that is really not too good for your health. A lot of heart attack type sandwiches, but I enjoy the food there. I was so on Friday when I went to lunch, I walked up to the line. They got a new sign there that says that they haven't had before. It says, please wear a mask when you're ordering and keep yourself distanced 6 foot apart. I had already walked from the parking lot to, from my car to the window to order, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to bother with this. I'm not going back to my car. I don't have my mask, and I usually have one hanging right on my blinker stem of my steering column, just in case I need it. But typically I try not to wear these things. And I saw that the person in front of me didn't have a mask on either, so he got done with his order. I walked up, placed my order, got an Italian hot dog, which was outstanding, by the way. So I placed my order. Was talking with the guy that was in front of me that placed his order for a little bit. Had a nice conversation with him about the power outage we had recently in northern New Jersey. And so I looked behind. I'm sorry. When I placed my order, the woman told me to step to the side and she'll call me when my order's ready. So that's fine. About 6 to 8 minutes go by, and the other people had collected their orders, and so I knew my order was almost ready to be up. So I kind of made my way up to the ordering window because there was nobody online at that point. And maybe 10-15 seconds later, I look behind me and there's two guys walking up. So I said, I should get out of the way so these guys can order. So stepped out of the way, gave myself plenty of distance for them, at least 6 feet, and said, guys, come on up and order. I already placed my order. So they came up, and the first guy who came up, they both had masks on. The first guy came up, and when he stepped up to the window, he looked to the side to me, and I heard some mumblings. And I looked at him and I said, what? I can't understand people when they got these muzzles on their faces. So I didn't really understand what he said, and I was just like, what? And he's like, mask. I'm like, thinking to myself, all right, this guy wants to know where my mask is. Where's your mask? That's probably what he's saying. Or why don't you have I said, hey man, we're outside, you know. He says, so he turns around and he looks at the sign and he points at the sign. And I said, yeah, well, we got 6 feet distance, man. I'm like, look, don't worry about it. Your mask is going to protect you. All right? Everything's going to be okay. And it was just so liberating. I mean, he went on and placed his order and whatever, but, you know, it was just so liberating. This guy wanted to control me. He wanted me to have a mask on. Obviously, the people in the establishment didn't have any problem with it. They gladly and in a friendly way took my order and were going to fill my order. So it wasn't a big problem for them. But, you know, this guy, he wanted to control me. And, you know, I just said it like it was. Look, we're outside. I'm over 6 feet away from you. You know, I'm not wearing a mask. That was basically my attitude. And it was very liberating. He didn't come back with anything else. Took my order, enjoyed my hot dog, and went on my way and had a productive day for the rest of the day. So, you know, people getting pretty testy about the masks. I typically don't encounter anything like that. Most of the places that I go to, I try intentionally to go to places where I don't have to wear a mask. It's either an establishment where they're not buying into all these restrictions, and you know, you go indoors and nobody behind the counter is wearing a mask, so you don't wear a mask either. Or, you know, some place where you order outdoors or to drive through or whatever, just to avoid having to wear a mask. Those are the places that I want to give my business to. Places where I don't have to wear a mask, because they're catering to somebody like me who doesn't wear a mask. You know, so typically I don't run into these kind of things, but this time I did. And like I said, it was very liberating to just tell it like it was to this guy, speak my mind to him, and not placate his desire to control me. And I would recommend that if you're in the same situation that I am, you don't want to wear a mask, then, you know, don't wear one. Wear a mask if you want to. You know, there's this video on there's this song that I heard the other day, and it was very funny. It was, I don't know if you remember the 80s song, you know, you can dance if you want to, you can leave your cares behind, and if you don't dance with that, don't dance, and no friend of mine. Well, it was to that tune, but it was wear a mask if you want to, and it was very funny. All the stuff that, you know, people go through, don't want to wear a mask, all those situations are communicated in those songs in a funny way, and I really got a kick out of it. It was actually the intro to the Dollar Vigilantes podcast, I think on Thursday or Wednesday or something like that, and I was actually even watching that, I think Friday on the way to work. So it's a funny song, so I would encourage you to seek it out. Even seek out the Dollar Vigilante. His podcast or his videos are hysterical. They'll make you get a good laugh out of all this crazy crap show we got going on around us. Makes light of it, makes fun of it. You'll have a really good time with it. He'll also give you some good information too, and direct you to some good resources, including his own resource as he is. He's got his own, you know, website called the Crypto Vigilante, and, you know, you have all kinds of advice on buying crypto and precious metals and stuff like that. It's a little expensive for me, so I don't subscribe to that, but I just listen to the free podcasts, and I get a good kick out of them. I get informed a little bit on current events, and not really anybody else out there that's really got my attention, that really appeals to me. Besides him, he's got a great delivery because of his sarcasm and his humor. You know, I kind of like sarcasm and humor throughout this whole situation, all that we see going on, because it's very serious, but yet, you know, you gotta laugh about it, because if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. Another funny guy is JP Sears, Awaken with JP. He's on YouTube too. He's got a lot of funny stuff as well regarding all the things that are going on in current events. He makes good satire out of it. I enjoy it very much. But yeah, moving to another thing that I told you I was all, told you all I was going to follow up on, and that is cryptocurrency. My efforts to obtain cryptocurrency, and I've been having a hard time with it. I had a hard time funding my Bittrex account, the exchange account that I got on Bittrex. I had a hard time funding it with my bank account. Also got an account on Coinbase because I was kind of giving a referral to that because I was having a hard time with Bittrex, and was having a hard time funding that with my bank account too. So I may have mentioned these things in some past videos, but now I got an update because I've had success. On Friday I tried it once again after probably trying it a dozen times on Bittrex without success. Last week Bittrex kept saying it could not complete my request, and then at one point it went through and redirected me to my bank account's website to verify my information, and that went through, but then again it said that the request couldn't be fulfilled. So, and then I got a call from loss prevention from my bank, and it was one of those robocalls saying there was an unusual transaction trying to be made with my attempted with my bank account, and they wanted to verify it. So I verified it through the phone, the robo system, and then I also called up to talk to a representative as well, and made sure that they knew that that was me that was making that transaction. And although I had not done business with that particular vendor yet, that this was a legitimate transaction. And then I asked, look, now can I go ahead and try to make this transaction again, and will I have success? And the person assured me on the other end of the line that I would have success. So Friday morning I tried it again, and I still didn't have success. Even after being redirected to my bank's website again and having to verify all my information, so I got, request still couldn't be fulfilled. I tried a couple hours later, and bang, went through. So I was able to fund my Bittrex exchange account with my bank account, and that was good because I was really wondering if I was ever going to be able to do that. It took quite some time, and quite a bit of persistence. It was quite a fiasco, but everything went through, and I was ecstatic about it, and I went ahead and I was able to purchase some Bitcoin off of the exchange, and still on the exchange, but in my account now. And it's a little challenging because you're not used to the jargon and the way the website's set up. I mean, it's just a space that I'm not used to operating in, so it's a little hairy. You want to make sure you do everything right. You're dealing with large sums of money that you really can't afford to replace. It's not like this is just a drop in the bucket. You're purchasing Bitcoin here, and so there's large amounts of money involved, and you want to make sure you type in the right thing and have the right locations and all this stuff. And but basically I could see that my purchase went through on the exchange in Bittrex, and then I was able to go ahead and transfer my Bitcoin from the exchange, Bittrex exchange, to my Edge wallet, which was also a little challenging. I mean, I realized there's some things, there's some challenges that you may encounter when you try to, work with cryptocurrencies. Just connecting your bank account to the exchange account, and then, moving, your cryptocurrency from the exchange account to your wallet. But one of the things that I didn't realize was that when you go to get the address for your wallet, and it gives you the code or the password, or I think it's the address actually is what they call it, for the receiving of the Bitcoin sure that it's the same type of currency. So if you're transferring Bitcoin from your exchange to your wallet, or your Edge, in this case my Edge wallet, it has to be, if it's Bitcoin on the exchange that you're transferring, then in the Edge wallet you have to receive Bitcoin as well, and the amount that you're transferring, right, you got to do a withdrawal from the exchange, the amount has to be the same as what you're putting into your wallet, the amount you enter into the wallet when you request the address to it for it to be received to in your wallet. You have to type in the correct amount, because you'll notice when you fill in the fields for your amount that you're receiving, the address actually changes based on the amount that you're putting into that field there. So the first time I didn't enter anything into the field, and I wasn't sure if I put in, if I changed the currency from US dollars to Bitcoin, and I got confused. I was doing research at the same time while I was doing it. I was like, oh, I messed this transaction up. I didn't put any amount in, and then, so I canceled it. I was able to cancel it. I mean, if you act quickly, I guess you can cancel it. In some cases, you can't. If I guess if the transaction becomes, active after a certain amount of time, then once it's active, then, or pending, I guess it is, you're not able to cancel a transaction anymore. But I was able to cancel the first transaction, and then the second time I put in the proper amount, and I went to I confirmed it, and then I went through, and I realized that I may not have put the right type of currency in, but then so then I canceled it again, and I tried it again, and then the third time I actually got it right. I know I had the right currency and I had the right amount, so the address was correct. But if you transfer, say, Bitcoin, and then from the exchange, and then you're receiving US dollars into your wallet, and you use that address in the exchange when you're making the withdrawal, your cryptocurrency could be lost forever. So you have to be careful and make sure you pay attention to the details. And it does help to know somebody to help you through some of this stuff. Basically, all the things that I got set up before I actually made the purchase, and then transferred, on the exchange, and then transferred into my wallet, setting all that stuff up. I got a lot of help from 4 or 5 different people that I found, networking in the Libertarian Party, and in my church, people who know and are working with cryptocurrencies, some for many years, some for a couple of years, and it can be helpful to just talk to people that have already been doing it. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to start this adventure and you haven't started it yet of getting into cryptocurrency, that you find some people that have already been through the experience, and they will give you some guidance on how to get where to go to set up an exchange, an account on an exchange or on the exchange, whether it's like Coinbase or Bittrex. I've been told that Coinbase is less secure than Bittrex. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't been able to do a whole lot of research on it, but make sure you know what kind of company you're dealing with, that you're using as an exchange. I've heard the 2 names that I've heard the most, or 3 names actually, have been Gemini, Coinbase, and Bittrex. And Coinbase is the least secure out of the 3, but it's the easiest to work with, and that's why I opened a Coinbase account after I opened a Bittrex account, and I was having troubles with it. But I ended up being able to do everything through Bittrex, and I'm going to probably work through that since I'm familiar with that now and I know how to use it. The first time's going to be hard. A bunch of jargon, a bunch of keystrokes you're not familiar with. I don't know if it's similar to the stock exchange or whatever, but it's it's a little, it's a little nerve-wracking. So, but what I feel comfortable with it now that I've done it once and I can do it again. I mean, the next thing I'm going to have to do is, of course, when I'm ready to, is to take it out of my wallet, put it into a hard wallet, I guess they call it. Right now, my Edge wallet is a soft wallet, but I'm going to want to put it into a hard wallet, which gives you all of the keys for your crypto, and you store it offline on a flash drive. And I guess I'll give some guidance on that when I get to that point. Not quite ready to do that yet. I have some more purchases to make in crypto. I have some more money coming my way where I'm going to take care of that. But purchase some more crypto, get my Federal Reserve notes converted into crypto and keep them in a hard wallet, so they're investment for a long time and can't be molested by hackers or anybody in the government or anything like that. And it will be stored on the blockchain and inaccessible except for by me, who has the keys. The only way anybody can access crypto is if they have the keys for it. So yeah, so I would recommend, if you're going to get into it, just do some networking. Find somebody that a neighbor, somebody you can trust, people in your circles of your social circles, whether it's church, political affiliation. I mean, I recently got involved with the Libertarian Party, so I met some resources through that helped me through all this. Some of the stuff I just had to figure out myself. But I've been dealing with computers, pretty heavily since I was in high school. So, I work with AutoCAD and things like this, so I became familiar with computers. And during my high school years, I've been using them all my life to do work. So, some things you can figure out, especially if you're familiar with computers. But, having some guidance from some people who have worked with it before definitely will be helpful to you. So I recommend you find some resources through networking. Two more things I've been thinking about. I'll start with the first one is smart grid technology. So especially after dealing with the storm that we just had a tropical storm in northern New Jersey. We lost our power. I'm glad that I have a generator, and during a minor crisis like this, I have access to gas, so I can fuel my generator and keep the lights on and pretty much do everything but cook on my range, my stove, and my oven, and wash clothes. It's only a 5,500 watt generator, 6,800 watt, I think, peak. So, it keeps the furnace on, it keeps the fridge on, it keeps the lights on, all the computers and smaller stuff, but, major appliances, you can't run it. So I'm probably going to do an upgrade at some point with that. But even with an upgrade, it's just something temporary. It's not really going to get you through the whole thing. But as we had these power outages during the same time, I was hearing over the internet that there's a governor or mayor or something like that over in California who says, if you don't follow the COVID-19 restrictions or guidelines or what we're telling you to do, we're going to cut your electric through smart grid technology. And pretty much everybody has this right now. I have it recently, maybe over the past 4 years. I had a smart meter installed on my house. I'm not really happy about it. It was something I was kind of fighting tooth and nail. We neglected to pay our power bill. We're late on it, just due to negligence, really, not because I couldn't afford it, or I was, refusing to pay it, but because just busy with work and traveling and kids and all these things that I was involved in. I'd forgotten to pay the bill, and so they turned our power off, at the pole, and they said, oh well, if you want to have it turned back on, we got to send somebody to turn it back on. So the serviceman shows up, and he's not working at the pole anymore. He works at the pole first, but then he's working on the side of the house with the meter. My wife says, "What are you doing? Working on the house?" Goes outside and says to him, "What are you doing?" It's this big to do. I mean, basically they were saying, "Look, we got to install this smart meter on the side of your house, even if you don't want it, and we can get the authorities involved if you want to, or hey, no smart meter, no electric." So basically, we had to cave to it, but it was big to do. I mean, I remember there was a little standoff between my wife and the serviceman there, and they were looking and the management and the electrical co-op. They were looking to send authorities over, or threatening to not turn our electric on if we don't take the smart meter. So that's what we did. We took the smart meter, and now we're beholden to whatever the power company wants to do with us regarding our flow of electric to our house. So much more the reason to look for alternative power, because these power companies are very much complicit with whatever the government's doing, and certainly they will do whatever the government tells them to. And now that we're part of this smart grid with our smart meter, if the next thing's going to be, if you don't get the vaccine, we're going to cut your power feed. I don't like that, man. I don't like the sound of that at all. So, the thing is then what am I going to do to avoid losing my ability to power my home if I don't want to get a vaccine, or if I don't want my family to be vaccinated? It's not like, you thought the name of the game was going to be, they're going to come to your house and bang on your door with a SWAT team and a nurse and a needle saying, okay, you and your family and everybody in the household has to take the vaccine at gunpoint. But that's not what it's going to be, right? They're going to have ways of manipulating you into doing what they want you to do, whether it's taking a vaccine or doing this or that, or if you're in disagreement politically, they can shut your power off. And if if they're going to do it over in California for whatever minor reason that they want to, they can do it over here in New Jersey. Typically whatever happens in California ends up happening in New Jersey. So I really would like to have some solar panels on my house. I don't even know how else I would alternatively power my house if I had that situation. I've explained this before. My house is not really suitable for it because of the way that the roof is pitched and all the trees in my area. So I've had many people call me up and want to put solar panels on my home, but I can never get them there to do an estimate because they have a look at my property from Google Earth or Google Maps, and they can see that my house is just not suitable for it, and they won't even come out. But what I would have liked to do is at least get the panels on my house or in my yard or whatever and set to go, and even if they cut my power, then I could just bypass the grid electric and go to the solar electric. At least I got the panels on my house if I rewire it or whatever. But right now it's just not an option. But if you are able to get some alternative power to your house that doesn't cause you to rely on anybody else, I mean, solar panel is ideal because it works off the sun. The sun is pretty much always shining, and if you have a block of batteries that are always getting charged on a skid or whatever to power your home, then you can power your home off of solar panels. So, and you can be off the grid. Not something that I've really figured out myself yet. I got to figure it out. But anyway, that's another thing I've been thinking about. So another important thing is just networking, because if something like that were to happen and people around you are now without power or whatever, maybe they have solar panels or whatever it is, or even just the idea of getting into different things that you're not too familiar with, you're not used to doing because you're so domesticated with the conditions conditioning that we've had through our schooling and our college education and our work, that, you know, we do things a certain way, and it all has to do with depending on the system, the control grid. And you know, now the smart meter is part of the control grid. You know, our currency is part of the control grid. You know, the Federal Reserve System inflating our dollars, debasing the currency, and they're controlling us through that. Control the food supply. I mean, you know, so what does that mean? Oh, you got to learn how to privatize your money. You got to learn how to privatize your electrical power. You got to learn how to privatize your food. How can you do all those things? Well, I mean, the bottom line is you're going to need to learn how to network with people that can help you with these things. So I would recommend, you know, finding like-minded people that understand that we're under a control grid right now, and the best thing we can do is to get ourselves out from under that control grid and be self-sufficient and privatize everything that we're doing, so that we're not depending upon this system, this control grid that they're using to try to have their way with us, whatever way they want to do it. Limit our travel, or limit our ability to work, or limit our ability to feed ourselves, or limit our ability to power our homes. These are all things that are potentials that they can try to take away from us at any time, and so therefore we need to be able to know how to grow our own food, how to power our own house, how to privatize our money and keep it safe from the collapse of the dollar. Find people, you know, look up the Libertarian Party on the internet and find some libertarians. Start meeting with them at their meetings and stuff like that. You know, get to know them. You know, and find some people that are like-minded. There are plenty of libertarians out there who are very much into self-sufficiency and don't believe that we need the system or the government to provide any of these services. That we can do. We can take care of it on the black market or on the blockchain, or we can do these things ourselves on our own private property. And and there's a knowledge base out there. So, or just find some voluntarists or true anarchists who don't believe in government and believe in self-sufficiency, and get to know them and learn from them what they're doing to make themselves less dependent upon the system. I mean, I really just got into the whole crypto thing basically because, you know, I started going to these protests back in March, just after the lockdown in New Jersey, and somebody noticed me in the crowd and said, "Hey, Steve, how you doing?" And I was like, "Man, who's this guy? Who knows me all the way down here in central Jersey? I'm from northern New Jersey." Well, it turned out it was somebody that I knew from, may have met him once in face at a Campaign for Liberty event after the 2012 election. But even before that, I networked with him on Facebook through Ron Paul sign bombs. He was doing them down in central Jersey. I was doing them up in northern New Jersey. We had kind of made acquaintance through that. But then, I saw him at I was invited to a Campaign for Liberty meeting, and I saw him there, I guess, is where I'm guessing that we really met in the flesh for the first time. But then I hadn't seen him or heard from him in years until I went to this protest. And it was pretty wild that he picked me out of the crowd, and I just kept seeing him at the protests. We were talking more, exchange information, actually started doing some stuff together. Did a fishing trip out in Barnegat Bay. Me and my wife went with him and his girlfriend, and we had a really good time. And he was the one who really, him, and then being at the protests and meeting other libertarians, then becoming part of the Libertarian Party. I started meeting people who are into crypto and basically telling me, this is how we're going to win. This is how we're going to beat the system. There's potential for gains here, for you to protect the value of the fruit of your labors, and there's also the potential to beat the system by privatizing our money. If we continue to deal in the petrodollar or the Federal Reserve note, whatever you want to call it, we're just funding the government to do all the wicked things that they're doing, all the bloodshed and all the tyranny and oppression, even throughout this COVID-19 event. All this stuff is funded through tax dollars and inflation. When they ramp the printing presses up and they print more money, this is the way we're going to win. And there's a lot of people out there who see what's going on, and they see the evil day, and they want to get out of the system, the matrix, and they're doing it slowly. They're taking their kids out of the public education system. They're staying out of the medical industrial complex, staying out of the pharmaceutical industrial complex, the Federal Reserve complex, the military industrial complex. All of their efforts are going, and all of their fruits of their labors are going towards the redirection of their efforts are going to things that are not supporting the system. And they want to see self-sufficiency win. We want to win, right? And one of the ways we can win is through cryptocurrency and privatizing our money. So they will be happy to help you free of charge. Like I said, I've had 4 or 5 people guiding me through my adventure in cryptocurrency over the past month or so to really actually make it happen. And you're going to want to set up an encrypted mail account. You want to set up, you're going to want to set up an account on the exchange. You're going to want to set up a soft wallet. You want to set up a hard wallet. You'll need some guidance to do that. It's not just something you can do on your own. You could do some research, but I would think it's, to have somebody explain it to you that's been through it before would be a lot easier. Networking is key in all these things. And we're not islands. We're not going to be able to do it on our own. We need friends that are going in the same direction. So that's one thing. Another thing that's been on my mind. I'm also, today is Sunday, so, I watched the worship service online today. And again, I think my church and my pastors are just missing the mark. Talk about praying for, somebody who's on a ventilator, who is in our church circles, not part of our church, but in our church circles, after 11 weeks is finally disabled person is coming off of a ventilator, and looks like they're on the road to recovery. But I say, when I think about that, I say, why didn't they give this guy hydroxychloroquine, this poor guy? And of course it's good to pray and give thanks to God that, in spite of what was done to this guy by putting a hard plastic tube down his throat when he was already in respiratory distress, he still lived through it. Most people don't get that tube removed until they're dead. It's still just a shame that he went through 11 weeks of this when he probably could have been done with it in 2 or 3 weeks using hydrochloroquine. And then we're going on to, talk about slavery, because we're looking at Colossians, the end of chapter 3 through the beginning of chapter 4, talking about, chain of command, basically authority and stuff like that. And, part of it is, slaves to masters, and what does that mean to us? And, the pastor's sitting there talking about how slavery's been abolished. And I'm thinking to myself, slavery hasn't been abolished. We still got slavery. When the Civil War happened, and supposedly the slaves were freed, because that's what we went to war for back then, which is also a crock, because it was not over slaves. Just like everything else, just like COVID-19 is not about your health, the Civil War was not about slaves. It had to do with the central banks and currency, and the control of the monetary system. In any event, through that supposed effort, the slaves were supposedly freed, but really the way I look at it is it just leveled the playing field, so that not only could there be slavery, like as we knew it back then, where people were kidnapped and brought over from Africa, from their tribal, masters, and they're warring over there, the spoils of their war, trading with the Europeans to bring them over to the United States and sell them into slavery, forced slavery, and that was the way slavery was up until the Civil War. Then instead, now you have everybody's a slave through the monetary system, through the printing of fiat currency and the debasing of the currency, so that the fruits of your labor are robbed from you. I mean, basically, when they tax you and when they inflate your currency, they're robbing your labor from you, which is what they were doing to those slaves that were being brought over from South Africa, or wherever they were from Africa. They were robbing them of their labor. They were not rewarding them appropriately for their labor. They were owned by their slave masters. And for us, it's the same way here in the United States. We're owned by the banks. I mean, when you're born into this country, you're born with, I think it's like $250,000 in debt before you even borrow any money. You're already $250,000 in debt. You're enslaved to this debt system from the time you're born, and you pay into it until the time you die through inflation and through taxes. And you're funding everything, all the wicked things that the government does. So, slavery never ended then, Now that's just the soft slavery that we're in today, where we don't even recognize that we're enslaved. That's not to mention the child sex slaves that are kids that are kidnapped, and then children are produced from that, and they're not even nobody even knows that they're alive or whatever, and they're just being used by their abusers all their lives. What about that slavery? So there's no talk of that from the pulpit. We're saying that our pastors are saying, not we, them, the pastors are saying that slavery doesn't exist anymore. Well, I disagree. And it's just like the whole Romans 13 and obeying authority without any kind of restraint. There's no line in the sand. Just if they're not asking you to sin directly or overtly, then it's okay. You just do whatever the government tells you. It's just piling on to that already, and I'm having a big problem with this. There's no feeling, for those people that are mistreated, and I mean even people that are hard workers and producers in this country are well off, are still being mistreated because they're being robbed of the fruit of their labors by the special interest, the big special interest, big corporations and big government. And it's just and the other thing I was thinking of too is we prayed for the people that couldn't be there because they were afraid for their health of catching COVID-19. Well, we got to wear masks when we go in our church. What about the people that can't bear wearing a mask without having an anxiety attack, or they have a psychosomatic reaction to it, or they can't breathe properly in a mask, and they can't be at church because they can't wear a mask? How come we're not praying for those people? It's just a general insensitivity. We're told to just buck up and just do what we're told. And I'm getting tired of that message coming from the pulpit, because it's just, to me, it's insensitive, and it's not living in reality. It's living in a fantasy world. So there's not really too much I can do about my church situation. I love my church. I was saved under the preaching in my church. Well, I wasn't really saved under the preaching in my church, but I grew a lot under the ministry in my church, and I was baptized in that church. I didn't grow up in that church, but I've been to a lot of churches in my area, and there's not any other church that I feel comfortable with their full body of doctrine that I do at the church that I'm going to. But I do have a problem with this general insensitivity to those who are not willing to just conform to whatever the government says at the drop of a hat. And just accepting the status quo, what we're being fed by the government, by the mainstream media as truth. There's no challenge to that at all. There's absolutely no challenge to that at all. And I'm kind of getting tired of it. But, I wish I could find a church that was more like-minded in that sense. But, you can find churches that are more like-minded in that sense, but then they lack in the rest of their body of their doctrine, and it's just a mess. I wish there was something I could do about it. But here I am stuck in this situation, so I'll probably continue to watch from home on the internet the worship services at my church, and just pray about it and find some way to deal with it. Hopefully God will provide an answer to me. Who knows, maybe I'm there as a catalyst for change. It's challenging. It's definitely a challenging thing. It's heartbreaking too. And I know at some point one of my pastors is going to call me to the carpet and say, why have you been in church? And you're not tithing, and you're not active or anything. And I'm going to have to tell them the reason why. It's this insensitivity to people who are, challenging and questioning government, and this message that keeps coming to us to just shut up and obey, and I'll have to be a little bit more specific and elaborate on that with them when I speak to them. But that's kind of what's on my mind with that, and I'm going to share my mind when I'm called to the carpet for it. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm on my way out to Western PA. I'm probably going to be driving a little bit more over the past couple of days, so you might hear from me in another day or two. This was a long one. It's actually the longest video that I've done. I was surprised I wasn't planning that, but like I said, I had a video ready for Friday, but it was split into two, so I just redid it, and I added a couple more things on there too. So hope you have enjoyed the time. It's been edifying for you, thinking along with me. If you have any comments, please make comments. If you please like the video. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I know I don't have a lot of viewers on this channel right now, but that may change. It may not change. I may be the only viewer who's viewing this in a couple years down the road, if I can, if there is a means to, just to see where I was at 3 years ago, as opposed to where I'm at 3 years from now. And